All right. Good evening, all. Thank you for letting me have this time. It is now 7:17. I may stay about 30, 40 minutes. Today's or this evening's topic, we're going to talk about the importance of meditation. I'm quite sure that many people already know how to meditate or they understand the fundamentals of meditation, right? But I will start off with saying this. Oftentimes we have a lot in our heads. And what I mean by that, we're always busy. Society tells us that we're not valuable unless we're always busy, always doing something, helping people, in that we're storing a lot of data in our heads. Well, this data that we're storing in our heads are not giving, does not leave room for information to be downloaded from the higher power. So in that, oftentimes we're convoluted with a lot of words and a lot of thoughts. We have thousands of thoughts or millions of thoughts that go through our minds that we don't realize. How many times, and you don't have to answer, but I'm just going to say this, there's been many times that thoughts went through your mind that you want to know where these thoughts came from. And oftentimes that has a lot to do with a lot of the data that you're storing in your mind. So I want us to think of our minds as our cell phones, our computers, or any electronic device. If you have a lot of pictures, books, ebooks, files, videos, etc., stored on any of your electronic device, one, it will get to the point where your storage is filled, so you will not be able to download or accept any new information. That's number one. Number two, your electronic device will slow down. And also, if you download a lot of apps, your electronic device will slow down. Three, your devices will not perform to its greatest ability. I want us to think of our body and our brain in that same manner. When we have a lot of thoughts and a lot of data stored in our brain, we begin to malfunction. We begin to speak slower. And pardon me because I've been drinking my juice and water and such, and I just ate. But we begin to slur. We begin to speak slower. Our brains do not function to its highest capacity. And on top of that, we're unable to receive downloads from the higher power, right? Now, I know a lot of us believe in God. However, do you believe that God speaks to you? If you know that God or higher powers speak to you, do understand that how you're being communicated to is different from communicating to another human being. And in that, we will not be able to restore or store that data that's coming down from the highest power. Now, why this is important? Many of us are here to fulfill a purpose, and that purpose oftentimes isn't taught to us by our parents and people around us. We get our purpose from the higher power. And if we're unable to receive downloads from the higher power, we will be unable to present our purpose to the world. And we will not be able to function to our greatest ability. So here's an example that I'm going to give when it comes to having too much words and too much thoughts in our head, right? How many times, and I give this example for the women because we relate to this. How many times have you heard someone say, oh, well, you look plumped, you look really nice in that outfit today, looks nice. And you may think that a person is saying that you're fat or you're overweight. That's what you thought you heard, but the person said that you look nice. You look plumped in your outfit. Doesn't mean that they're saying that you're overweight or that you're fat. But when we have a lot of words attached to the foundational words, so let's say the foundational word we want to use today is overweight. And there's plumped, there's fat, there's obese. There's so many words that is a derivative of overweight that we have stored in our minds that we think we heard something that we haven't heard, oftentimes leading to us miscommunicating and misunderstanding who we're communicating with and what we have heard. Oftentimes, it is not that we have a communication problem and that we have a comprehension problem. It is that we have too much in our minds problems, too much thoughts problems. So, what I like to teach about meditation is learn how to delete some of these words and some of these thoughts out of our minds because it serves us no good. So, when we meditate, the purpose and goal of meditating is to clear our minds. We want to have our minds like a fresh chalkboard, right? Remember when we were in school, college, you name it, they're teaching a lesson, and when they're done with that lesson and that chalkboard is full and the class understands the respective lesson, what do the teacher do? The teacher has to erase everything off the chalkboard to start another lesson. That's how I want us to treat our minds. When we meditate to cancel unnecessary thoughts and unnecessary words and verbiage in our minds, our brain is now not filled to capacity with junk mail and we're able to receive download. It is not filled so we can perform to our greatest capacity. Now you will ask why. How many of you have experienced when you have so much going on, so much in your mind, so many thoughts, so many things that you have to do? Sometimes you're not walking straight. You may walk to the side. Now you're leaning. Your head is hanging. You're speaking with slurs. That is coming from having too much. Now we're top heavy, and we don't understand how that affects our entire being and our entire body. So I'm here to present why we should meditate. Besides the fundamentals of meditation, get down to the purpose of meditation. Aside from just sitting in peace and being in calm, that's one aspect of meditation, which is extremely important because of the hustle and bustle. Our nervous system is always activated, and we're always moving around. In that, not knowing how to just rest and stay at calm, an overreactive body and an overreactive nervous system is also unhealthy, right? So, of course, many of you know that already, but clearing our mind of unnecessary thoughts is also extremely important.
Come down here. You want me to bring them down here?
Someone has something to say, or maybe they needed to mute. Okay. So does anyone have any questions right now before I continue to go? Okay, so I'll continue on. Okay, so then the next...
I had to come off mute. Can you elaborate on how someone clears their mind? Because I really don't know how to get all this stuff that's going through my head off my mind.
Okay, great question. So I want you to ask yourself, when you get to the point of understanding that you have a lot of derivative words and thoughts in your mind, and understand that you don't need these thoughts in your mind. Brother Al-Malral said it greatly, so I'm going to say what he said. He states to find a solution for that thought and cancel it out of your mind. That's what I would say, but I find a longer way to say things, right? So how to minimize the thoughts that's in your mind. If there are things that you are thinking about that has been troubling you, that has been something that you know that you are going to work on, but you haven't had a chance to work on it, in meditation, when it comes to the forefront, write that down, or remember it so you can write it down at a later time. Find a solution for it. Find a way so that you can cancel out that thought so that it doesn't reappear in your mind again. So most things are about cause and effect. And with cause and effect comes balance and solutions. So the bottom line is finding a solution or a reason to cancel that thought. If there's no immediate reason to cancel that thought, it is something that you know you must work on and make it a priority to work on. Now, if it is something that cannot be made a priority in a sense where it's a short-term goal, understand that that's a long-term goal that you need to work on and then implement some strategies to work on it. Now, here's the difference between finding out these thoughts in your mind that you need to work on and creating goals to work on it versus not meditating and moving on with life with these thoughts in your mind. The difference is when you move on with life with these thoughts in your mind, you don't realize that it continues to pop up and interfere with how you should be moving and living in real time. And you don't realize that there's a solution or there's some things that you need to work on. So these thoughts continue to just pop up. They pop up when people communicate with you, because these thoughts and these extra words are in your mind, they pop up. So here's what I mean by they pop up. Have you ever seen a cartoon or an AI commercial or anything that shows that a computer or Android is just malfunctioning, right? So when an Android malfunction, things are just happening. The three arms are popping out. Everything is just going haywire. That's what happens with our mind and how we operate. We don't see it because we don't see us. But when we miscommunicate or misunderstand, or sometimes it seems as if we miscomprehend or don't comprehend what we hear and what we read, oftentimes it is because we have too much going on in our minds. And it's okay because we're adults, we have a lot going on. And we haven't been taught the concept or the skill of clearing unnecessary thoughts and unnecessary issues out of our minds. So let's look at, we have backed up storage from childhood on up, right? Oftentimes, how many times you may have said to yourself, I didn't mean to miscommunicate. You don't understand how you mistook what someone is saying, or why didn't I hear that or understand that the first time? Sometimes it's not your fault, and then we blame ourselves, right? It's not our fault. It really has a lot to do with, we have a lot stored in our minds, and it's getting in the way. We're unclear about some things, and it has nothing to do with mental illness. It is just a human and natural occurrence that happens in our life. I hope I answered your question, Brother Joffrey, right?
Yeah, I'm listening to you. I gotta go down to X-ray.
Did I answer your question?
I'll work on it. I'll work on what you said.
Okay. Well, you know what? When I'm done with this session, I'll leave my number, and if any of you need some help or direction with the clearing process, just let me know. Call me, send me a text, and we can work on that. Okay. But moving forward, the next step is, this can lead to mental illness. It can be, and mental illness, in my opinion, is that we have a lot of stress on our brains, a lot of stress on our minds, and that causes us to overwork our bodies. And when we malfunction, it is like a computer that is breaking down, and we call that mental illness, right? From trauma, domestic violence, you name it, these circumstances causes unnecessary information to be stored in our minds. And then our nervous system is overreacting to the information that is in our mind, and to the information that we're receiving by the life that we are living, and not clearing our minds of unnecessary thoughts, unnecessary information, unnecessary occurrences. So again, the easiest way to clear out unnecessary information that we have in our minds is to find a solution for those thoughts, those instances, and then cancel it out altogether. Once you find a solution for a thing, it is no longer an issue. Now, to get to the point of actual meditation, how many of you meditate? Or does anybody meditate on the show?
This is Arlene. I started meditating. Oh, you're going back. Okay. So I would explain to you like this. Latoya is born with a birth defect. So for me, I had to stop taking ibuprofen, all these over-counter medications that they were prescribing me. But it's not good for your body. So I had to find another way to soothe the body aches that I was having. So that's when I started meditating. And when I say it's so helpful, yes, it is. It's been beneficial for me ever since. And we're going back since I was seeing my pediatrician. She was taking me since I was like a baby up until 18. Maybe she stopped taking me maybe up to 20, somewhere around there. And yes.
Awesome.
So I love, and up until now, I still meditate. It's soothing. It calms me down. I don't know how many words I can put it, but yes. You just got to put yourself in just in a good position and just calm yourself down and
Yes.
I'm happy
that you said that.
I'm gonna put myself on mute.
Okay. I'm happy that you said that, because oftentimes if people don't know about meditation, they often think that their relaxation is when they're getting ready to go to sleep, right? Or just sitting in the chair and doing nothing. But your mind is still working and you're still overworked, although you're doing nothing. I'm not sure how many people have experienced sleeping and getting up in the morning and feeling tired. But you just woke up, but your body is still tired. It is due to being overworked. So when we learn the art of meditation, just like Sister said, Joyce, right, said earlier, when we learn the art of meditation, we can also put ourselves on a timer to say, okay, I've done enough and I'm feeling overworked. So let me take 10, 15 minutes to actually meditate. And what I mean by meditation is not just to sit still, because we can still sit still and our minds can still be going a million miles an hour. It is to literally sit still and not entertain anything, meaning not think about that email that you have to send, that phone call that you have to make, that dish that you have to cook, that you have to wash clothes. No, tune the world out and silence everything and sit through all noise. Cars going by, ambulance, police, whatever, you name it. Do not break concentration and sit with yourself. You're going to get to a point where you can just feel yourself totally go down. And when I say go down, meaning the energy levels and everything starts to relax. And when you start to relax, you'll start to feel things. Your body will start to move, and you're not moving your body. But you will understand or realize that there's some things going on with yourself that you know that you're not doing. And I'll have you know that that's your higher self starting to work its way through you. your higher self is introducing itself to you. I'm not sure how many people really are in tune with spirituality and understand that we have a higher self and that we do have a spirit. Oftentimes we are unable to communicate with our spirit because we are in the rush, the rat race. And we're so focused on doing so many things that our bodies are not still and limbo enough to hear and communicate and feel from our higher self. When you're able to do that, that's when you know that you're actually reaching the pinnacle of meditation. When you clear those thoughts, that's when you'll notice that you're receiving downloads from your higher self. It is never too late to actually pursue your purpose. It isn't too late. There's no such thing. We cannot pursue when we can stop pursuing our purpose when we're no longer here in the flesh. But do understand that energy never dies. So when the physical body is done, our energetic self, which is our higher self, is going to go on and continue a different aspect of our lives. So we are here in the physical, what King Simon has said before. We are here for a particular purpose. And oftentimes, if we don't fulfill that purpose now, when we pass away, we may reincarnate and come back to earth to do this all over again. The purpose of meditating and clearing out unnecessary thoughts is so that we can tune in to what the higher power want us to know and want us to do while we are here. And when we fulfill that purpose, when we leave here, at the time we leave here, we may not have to reincarnate and come back here and do earth all together. That means that we have graduated to the next grade, right? So how many of you remember when we were in school, for the child that did not pass the third grade or the fourth grade, they had to, they stayed back and they had to do fourth grade all over again or fifth grade all over again. That's what reincarnation is. If we do not pass or graduate what we're supposed to do here right now in the physical, when we pass away, often we may most likely reincarnate and come back to earth and do earth again. And the grueling thing about that is when we reincarnate, we have no memory of our past life. So oftentimes you're going to come here and make the same mistakes and actually duplicate the same things that you have done in a previous life. When we graduate, we don't repeat what we've done in a lower grade. We go on to the next grade. So this is also about just not wasting our time. Like Maya Angelou said, when we know better, we do better. And knowing better sheds some light on what we're doing. I'm not sure if any of you heard, we have some young children that are here, and how many times you've heard, this person has an old soul. The young child that comes into the world that has been told they have an old soul, I guarantee you they've reincarnated to this place so many times that it seems like they're so wise and they're so much older than their peers. And that is a true statement. But that also means that they have not learned from a past life. So your soul and spirit can be tired, but it continues to reincarnate until you pass the test that you pass, learn the things that you need to learn so that you can go on to the next grade. So that's basically what this is about for us. And you'll come to find out that life seems so much smoother and it's so much easier on our bodies when we do learn how to meditate, do cancel out unnecessary thoughts, and leave our minds with enough room and storage space to receive what our higher power is trying to tell us. This is important. Oprah says, and the spiritual people say, the spiritual gurus say, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Spiritual beings having a human experience. Because of slavery, that has been washed out of us. We don't realize that we are powerful people, and they don't want us to realize that we are powerful people. But when we're able to hear from the other side and get directives, I guarantee you that we will move different. We will not be victims of this society. You cannot victimize people who are educated about who they are. Now, there's one thing about curriculum education, and then there's another thing when we're talking about education of self, of who we actually are. And that is besides being indigenous and our skin color. We are connected to the people that built the pyramids. Those that have built the pyramids are spiritual beings that had higher order thinking, that understood mathematics. That's who we are. They don't want us to know that, but that is who we are. And through meditate, how many of you have heard that meditation is evil? They're trying to tell people now that meditation is evil. It is not evil. They understand that once you learn how to meditate and you connect with your higher self and start connecting from the higher source, that you're going to move different. There's how you handle yourself, handle society, handle what we're calling racism is going to change. They don't want that. So they're even telling people that meditation is the devil. It is not. They're saying it's demonic, it's witchcraft. It is not. It is not. It is who we are, and it is how we connect. Does anybody have any questions? And if not,
I'm loving. I'm loving everything that you're saying. Meditating, I don't know about it being evil. It's nothing evil about meditating. I love to meditate. I've been meditating ever since. Going outside is meditating. Smelling the fresh air. Just blocking out the world and just not hearing other things. Just not like outside, cars, nothing at all. It's even like if somebody even talks to you, it's like, excuse me, I don't mean to be rude, but just being outside, just among myself with my king is meditating.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
It's the
Just me, myself, and I. Yes.
That's right. And it's the way to self-mastery, right? So how Sister Joyce just explained, once you know the art of meditation, you don't necessarily, after that, once you have it down pat, you don't need to be in your home sitting still on a chair meditating. No, you can walk out and go to the park and meditate and connect. Because just like she said, it's learning how to tune out the world and pay attention to the body. Listen to the body, listen to your thoughts. If there's unnecessary thoughts, find a solution and get those thoughts out of there. That's what it's self-awareness. It is self-inventory. Excellent way to keep the body strong. Excellent way to connect with nature. Excellent way to know what's the next lesson. What's the next adventure that you're supposed to be doing? What is the next purpose? What are we to present to the world? Now that's how I learned what my purpose is. And that's how I became steadfast. I'm going to tell you, and this is, I'm telling you, you can't make this up. I did not go to college for psychology. Psychology is a natural gift of mine, but I didn't study psychology. I was a project manager in an international business. I cleared international freight, air, ocean freight, and passenger clearances. What passenger clearances is people that ordered such thing as gold bracelets, Movado, Rolex watches, and the broker will fly overseas to pick up the product for them and then fly back into the United States. If those of you who travel, you understand that there's a declaration that you have to fill out. Anything over $500 needs to be customs cleared. I will show up at U.S. Customs with my file. The person will have their product, whether it's gold bracelets, watches, you name it. U.S. Customs look at my paperwork, look at what they have, clear their freight. I go back to the office. The customer goes to where they go, right? That was my career for 13 years. I published a book about my life titled Newark's Armadillo in the interim, and then I left my career in 2010. And from there, learning how to meditate, I've got into myself, got more into spirituality, and from there is where I learned my purpose. And believe it or not, I developed a self-wealth mentorship program based off of 3 pillars: self-awareness, self-enlightenment, and self-empowerment. And I ran that program at Delaney Hall Halfway Home and the Greater Essex Drug and Alcohol Treatment Center right here in Newark, New Jersey. You can't make that up. And when I tell you my program was excellent, my classes were always filled. I have had participation because you can facilitate a program and not have participation. No, the people at Delaney Hall and Greater Essex Drug and Alcohol Treatment Center began to participate in the class. I've had high numbers, and I don't think I would have been able to do that had I not learned how to meditate, had I not done everything that I'm explaining to here, and had I not been able to receive downloads from the higher power on what my purpose is and what I should be doing for the people of this society. And no, I don't have children, just like King Simon has said earlier. Not having children is really no excuse, right? But I've learned to give back, teach other children, right? I used to go into the schools for Career Day, University High School, Malcolm X Shabazz. I religiously went into those schools every year for years for Career Day to facilitate programs and classes at those schools. So I'm telling you that learning how to meditate and canceling out unnecessary thoughts and unnecessary information from our minds actually work. And you will be surprised at what you will come up with so that you can present to the world. And that will be it for this evening's conversation. If anyone have any questions, let me know.
Oh, I'm sorry. Someone else was going to speak before me.
Now go ahead, Latoya. I'll wait.
No, please, Mr. Joffrey.
All right. You said you found your purpose after you learned to meditate. And I think you mentioned spiritual. I believe that our people were spiritual before they came in with religion. I've been religious. I don't think I've ever been spiritual. And I find that most religion that I've studied, especially where it comes from the Bible, is false. So I would be interested in this ability to meditate in order to get into the spirit, to become more spiritual. Do you find there's a difference between your spirituality and religion?
Sure. Okay, so the way I would say it is, Brother Joffrey, where are you from? Like, where do you live?
I grew up in Philly.
In Philly?
I grew up in Philly.
Okay, so spirituality is the downtown area of Philly, right? Whatever area that is. Let's say the downtown area is spirituality. That's what everybody is getting to. Religion is the different streets you take to get to the downtown area of Philly. Religion have their own culture. Different streets look different. So they have different stop signs. Some streets have just no lights, all stop signs. Some streets have lights. Some streets have, you call that the light that only blinks yellow, which tells you to just be cautious before you cross that section. Different streets have different cultures and different rules, but they're all getting you to Philly. So religion represents the streets that you take or the direction that you take to get to the main area. But the downtown area don't really have any rules. What it has is an experience. It has culture and an experience, and you're going there for particular things. But the streets that you're using to get there is just a conduit to get to the main area. That's what religion is. Religion is I'm sorry, not religion. Spirituality is the experience. It is the downtown area that you're going to experience, whether it's shopping, whether it's to learn things, you're going to a bookstore, you're going to experience things. That is spirituality. Religion is the different streets that we take to get to downtown. And if you notice, you really don't care about the streets that you're taking. You're just on that street, but what you're thinking about is downtown. So spirituality they have rules. There's such thing as spiritual law. They're called universal law, right? The laws of cause and effect, right? The first law of nature is self-preservation, right? The laws of reaping and sowing. There are spiritual laws. It's not man-made laws. These laws are in effect whether we know it or not or believe it or not, because it's invisible laws. But do know that they're in effect, right? So it's part of the karma structure. And we don't have to have law involved for these laws to work. Those are spiritual laws. So for me, I rather be sure that I adhere to and live by spiritual law. Once you're living by spiritual law, you're going to be okay for man-made law, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but okay, what I'm concerned about is purpose. Because even at 68 years old, I question, why the heck am I still here? Why am I here? What is my purpose?
God said yes.
That was my point. What is the purpose? You said you found your purpose. I'm looking for reason to remain here.
Okay.
And you associated that with spirituality, not religion.
Right. So spirituality, you will find your purpose in spirituality. Hence, you can give me a call, and I can give you the tidbit and the structure on how to meditate, because I can't necessarily tell you what your purpose is. You're going to find your purpose through your higher self. And you're going to get connected. You're going to connect with your higher self after you learn how to sit in meditation. Why meditation is important is when we tune the world out and we just sit in silence and we're in limbo, that's when we can hear from the other side and from our higher self. Sometimes how they communicate or how your higher self communicate, it's in downloads. It's not English. Now, your higher self will help you convert it for your understanding. And all of that is done through meditation. And you'll be surprised that when you learn how to meditate and you learn how to convert the downloads that you receive, you will find your purpose. And at 60, it's not too late for you to know what your purpose is, because you're still here. Your physical body is still here. You'll be surprised. And for the stage of life in which you are in, your purpose is it'll be easy for you to apply. Of course, you may need help with a team to help you apply it, but it's not going to take much out of you to apply it. And that's going to give you a lot more life, a lot more joy, and a lot more reason to stay in the game.
Okay, how late is too late?
How late is too late
to call
me? The calling, the purpose?
Oh, no, to call you, to call your phone number.
To call you.
To call
Yes,
me. it's up to you. I usually take it down by 10 o'clock. But today, this is Saturday evening, right? Uh, Tomorrow is another day. If you know that you have other things to do or you want to wind down, it's okay. But Sunday is another day. I'm on Zoom at Sunday morning at 11 a.m. to like 12:30. But let's say about 2 o'clock, I'm free and we can talk.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
You got it. You're welcome. Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, so Sister Arlene, meditating. When you find yourself meditating, putting yourself like in a soothing sensation, do you find yourself winding down to where it puts you to sleep before you know it?
Yes.
So
I said, yeah. So I said this. I mentioned that when we were in Philly at the Nutrition and Herb Center. I went through that process, and I told the audience it's okay. When you get to the point where you start falling asleep, you would have known that you have crossed the threshold to meditation, because it is a challenge to get to the point of being in still when there's a lot going on. There's a lot of noise, people talking. It's a lot of distractions, and it is easy for you to break concentration. When you get to the point where you're falling asleep, you have mastered that threshold, and that means that it doesn't matter what's going on, how much noise is happening, who's talking, who's running, what music is playing. You're still in meditation and in stillness. So I told the audience that you can easily break yourself out of sleeping, but allow yourself to fall asleep and take note that you have crossed that threshold. So the next time you go to meditate, you would understand that once you're starting to feel like you're going to go to sleep, you can break meditation. You can say, okay, that's enough for today, right? Spirituality and learning yourself and loving yourself also means that we're not putting ourselves under unnecessary pressure. It's to be free. To love yourself is not to abuse yourself. So when you know that you're falling asleep, it's okay. Say, you know what? I've passed another threshold, and then you will get to a point that you can meditate without falling asleep. Be at calm and at peace with the process of mastering yourself. When you can meditate, you're also opening the threshold to self-mastery. Do understand that there's not a lot of people in this world that can master themselves. Self-mastery is a challenging thing to do because we're talking about meeting yourself. Sometimes we do some things that's very ugly, right? No, seeing the ugly in us, the good, the bad, the ugly, and indifferent, and still loving ourselves, still learning who we are, still changing our actions, and still getting rid of unnecessary thoughts, unnecessary issues, unnecessary ideas is a wonderful thing. No one can break your confidence in who you are and the love that you have for yourself once you've mastered meditation. Trust me on that.
Yes, ma'am. Because I could fall asleep with people around me and, just unnecessary things that maybe, and I can just fall asleep and they're looking like you're actually sleeping, and they was talking and I fell right to sleep.
That's right.
I was saying fell right to sleep, and they not wake me up, but I'm actually I don't meditate and I fell asleep, but eventually I can hear them to where they don't woke me up. But whatever they was talking about, it just didn't, I guess it didn't really, it didn't interest me to where I don't tune them out. And
right. Right.
I don't tune them out, so yes. The way they
and
woke
you know
me up,
what?
and I'm like, yes, go right ahead, man.
And you know what? Sometimes your purpose may not be to teach anybody or have anything extended outward, but to be the pinnacle of what self-love, self-appreciation, and what peace mean. So much so that when people come around you, their nervous system relaxes. That in itself is a purpose, right? Not everything is to do what we're doing here to teach people
Yeah.
In an outward way, but when you embody it, when people come around you, their nervous system will calm down. You don't have to say anything to them, and then when you do talk, they can tell it just calms them down. So there's different ways that we can project our purpose. So again, don't hold yourself to any standard. Allow it to work through you.
Yes,
Allow
ma'am.
it to work through you, and you'd be surprised at what you would be representing and who you would be helping just by being yourself. Just by
Yes,
being
ma'am.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes. And I'm going to continue being me, continue being this way because I love to meditate. And if I can't help nobody else, then so be it. But I'm not going to let them change me. Not at all.
That's right.
Yes.
that's
But,
that's right.
yes. But thank you. I love your presentation. I love what you bring to the table.
You're very welcome. If does anyone else have any questions? If not, we will end. It is now 8:02, and we'll prepare for the person who would come on later. Okay. Thank you all for staying and joining in for this session of meditation. I'm saying mediation. Oh God, because I do mediation as well. Thank you all for tuning in. Someone else has a question?
Yeah, my phone is tripping. So you're not going to do a meditation, you just want to enlighten us on the different forms and kinds of meditation?
Yes, sir. And the purpose, the fundamentals behind meditation, right? Oftentimes when I go into meditation sessions or people teaching about meditation, it is based on of learning how to breathe and keeping calm. What I teach is the other aspect of as well, and that is clearing our minds. Think of our brains as devices, our computers, our cell phones, any electronic device. If we have too much information stored on any of our devices will not work at to its greatest capacity. That is the same thing with our brain. So once I've learned how to meditate, I've also started to tune in and hone in to all these thoughts that are going through my mind and getting rid of them. Those that are unnecessary, and unnecessary could be if you're holding a grudge. And listen, I hold grudges, right? But I'm going to give that as an example. Let's say you're holding a grudge and you have these thoughts of a grudge in your mind, but after a while, it's not going to serve you. But it's in your mind. It's taking up space, right? So it's learning the things that you think about that takes up space that serves you no good, finding a solution for it or finding a way to cancel it out so that it does not resurface in our minds. And that's the purpose I focused on. Now, for those who want to learn how to meditate, I can teach people how to meditate, to which they can contact me for that as well. Any more questions? I see a 201 number oscillating. They're trying to say something.
Hello?
Hello? Yes.
Yes, good evening. I thank you for the presentation. You touched the subject of like sort of hoarding the information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unnecessarily and liberating ourselves from unnecessary information, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to look at the other side, how to recall the information. I experience issues with the memory. Pardon me.
Oh, okay, so are you saying
and a focus lately, and with the focus.
Okay, so you're saying that you want to look at the other side, which is how to recall information and how to
Right.
focus.
right?
Okay, so we can talk about that as well, and I'll drop my information. So the way to recall information and focus will come after getting the unnecessary thoughts and information out of our minds, right? Because as I explained before, our mind and our brain is like an electronic device. With too much information stored in our minds, we will be unable to recall and remember information such as what you're asking, because there's a lot that's already stored in our minds that we have to find solutions for, or find something to do with, so that we can get it cancel it out of our minds, delete it out of our minds, right? So I'm not sure if you have a cell phone to where when your cell phone has too many pictures, too many stored, and you understand how your cell phone works. It gets to the point where you cannot take any more pictures, or you cannot download any more documents. You have to delete the documents, the pictures that you have, do something with them. Sometimes you have it stored and there's projects that you need to work on, but you haven't gotten to that project yet. But when your phone cannot take any more pictures or store any more documents, it's going to force you to go ahead and take care of those projects that you have to take care of, so that you can delete those files out of your phone so that you can have space. That is the same thing with our minds. We will not be able to recall and download until we get a hold of all this unnecessary information that we have stored in our minds. When we get a hold of it, delete some of that, or go ahead and work on those respective projects so that we can delete it. That is when we can work on recalling information and receiving downloads.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. But just one thought: people who came back, sort of, quote unquote, who experience life after death, let's say, who came back from let's say in between, they say that they've been recalling they've been recalling all experiences. They've been like rewinding the tape, the film.
You're saying like past life experiences?
No, they've been people who came back to life, let's say, who've been after they've been pronounced dead. They became to life still, right?
Yeah.
And they been recall. They say that they've been recalling the information from their recent entire life.
Yes. Okay, so let me tell you how that happens. When people go into a coma, or they have, let's say, like split-second deaths, either you go into a coma or you die, because this is how they explain it. If your heart stops pumping, you die, and then they revive you, right? It's amazing how time works. It's amazing how time works, and I think that that's something that King Simon touched on with time. So what may look like 5 minutes to us is actually maybe a day or a few hours when you're in the afterlife. When that happens, all of this information that I'm saying that we're storing in our heads gets deleted. Believe it or not, it's deleted. You go down to zero. It's like you erased all the information off of a chalkboard and you're looking at a blank chalkboard. What happens in that instance is that they get connected to their higher self. As I've stated earlier, we all have an inner spirit. That's us. What animates us is our spirit. And many people don't realize, this is why I say that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Oftentimes we don't realize that we are a spirit. So when we get to the point where you're in a coma or you died for 15 minutes. During that process, while they're trying to revive you, all of this information is erased and you're connected to your higher power. You're also connected to your ancestors on the other side, and you're connected to whoever else on the other side that has been guiding you. These are people that has passed away in your bloodline before you, but their energy don't die and they're rooting for you. Some people will tell you that spirit on the other side will tell them it is not your time to go yet. Right? Because all people say that when they're in that state, it feels comfortable. And if they allow themselves, they can pass away. Oftentimes, it is energy and spirit, ancestors on the other side that says it's not your time to go. So they're helping them in the process to stay here and continue on with life. When that happens, it is very easy for them to recall things. Now, here's why. They've already experienced their higher self. They've already experienced that there's more life on earth than just physical human beings. So in that, they're in tune and they're listening and paying attention to different information that they are receiving from beings outside of just physical human beings. That's how they can recall things, because they know. So they're seeking that information. They're deliberately not storing unnecessary information in their minds, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Now, they
Okay.
take the leadership and the charge of their life to stay in tune to the afterlife.
Well, you did get the raise.
Okay, thank you.
I hope I answered your question. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? I hear somebody talking.
Okay. So,
That sounds like Elle from Long Island.
One that came back to work was sick, and you had to fill in today.
What, Joyce?
That's Sister Joyce. I think she's just talking in the background, and she knows that.
Oh.
Okay. All right. If no one else has any questions, then we will be conclude for the night. Brother Forrest?
I know.
Okay.
I want to say thank you so much. I want to say thank you so much again.
You're very welcome. Have a good night, all. Oh, I thought
when is the next your program?
Arlene, you don't have to record this.
Oh, okay.